Joining us now for 5 insightful minutes is the 2022 OmniStar Amazon's VP of AWS Applications, the one and only Dilip Kumar. Dilip, welcome back to Omni Talk.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Anne. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always you're always one of our favorite guests, and so glad that you could join us today. So my question for you first is to set the table. So you have a much broader role since we interviewed you last. Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, so I am now leading AWS applications. I moved to AWS about a year ago. I was in the consumer business for a long time. I moved with several of the things that we had built there, which is identity and checkout. The AWS applications group does a lot of things that are higher up in the stack, very different from primitive like infrastructure services that AWS does, but something that bundles together things that caters for non-developers on how they can build applications. So things like Amazon Connect, AWS supply chain, AWS clean rooms, and now the identity and checkouts things like we're doing the end user computing group, which allows people to be able to run their applications anywhere, wherever they want, like Workstream and Workspaces and AppStream. And then the Just Walk Out, Amazon One, and Dash Carts, which both you and Anne are pretty familiar with.
Oh, yes. We are always interested in hearing about those areas of your work, Dilip. I'm curious, when it comes to checkout and the identity services space, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, we've been super excited by the customer reaction to this. We started like last year, we were in the US and UK. Now we're in US, UK, Canada, as well as Australia. The reaction across the world has been very similar to this. Customers hate lines, no matter where they are. Just Walk Out seems to resonate very well in areas that are very throughput constrained. And we see, like the stadium operators start off with a few stores and then they add more when they see the value for their own customers. And I love the fact that we can bring this to so many different places. Just as an example, Lumen Field saw an 85% increase in the amount of transactions in the same store, like 112% increase in sales. Just incredible. Like similar store, same size footprint, same merchandise, Just Walk Out relative to a point of sale, which is like hugely useful for fans as well as for merchants who are running the store. And Amazon One continues to do well. We expanded to all of our Whole Foods location. We're in all 516 stores, but we also are in hundreds of other third-party locations as well. And we just recently announced a partnership with Crunch Fitness. They have it in about 9 of their gyms, and the reaction to that has also been great. There's tons of usage and repeat usage of something like that. People find it very easy and intuitive to use, and it's also helping the people who are running these businesses save time and spend their time rather than monitoring and figuring out usage. They're spending their time doing things that are way more value add for them as well as for their customers.
Well, and I know Anne's the biggest fan of all of the Amazon One palm payment system, so she's pretty excited to hear about that. And yeah, we saw that announcement too, and we quickly shared that on LinkedIn because we were so excited about it. But my question for you too, because going back to the stadium thing, like I got to imagine getting beers in the hands of people is a very valuable thing for many of these stadium operators. But curious too, like the announcement that caught our eye, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but just to bring it out for our audience a little bit more, you're now doing Just Walk Out for apparel by way of the fan shops at the Seattle Seahawks and the Texas Rangers Stadium. Talk about everything that went into creating that and developing that experience, if you can.
Yeah, it's actually a perfect example that sort of marries together the benefits of RFID with the benefits of Just Walk Out. If you think about fan merch, it is again ripe for invention in the sense that similar to food and beverage in a stadium, lines tend to get built up. People have very little time to spend in those stores, and they want to be able to get the right thing and in and out as quickly as they possibly could. And this is exactly where I think RFID plays a huge amount of role in figuring out the specific type of merchandise. But then Just Walk Out enables the rest of that experience where you can then check out and just walk out. And we know exactly who to bill and how to charge for that merchandise. So this is like, we felt that it was a good example of where RFID can shine for certain elements of that experience. Just Walk Out can shine for other elements of that experience. And from a fan's perspective, all they're doing is coming in. They're very used to the Just Walk Out experience. They can pick up the merch item that they need, and the rest of the experience stays the same. So we saw a lot of success with this when we did it with in Lumen Field with the Seahawks. And then we also launched it, for the World Series also with the Texas Rangers. And those stores are seeing a huge amount of there was every X seconds, there was a sale that was happening, which is super useful for them. It's immensely gratifying for a fan because they can get in and out really quickly. Crowds really build up. And so loving it. We can expect to see many more of those in the near future.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know Ann can too. So, well, thank you, Dilip.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Chris.
All right. If you want to hear more from Dilip, be sure to check out our full-length Spotlight series interview with him, available wherever you happen to listen to your OmniTalk podcast or on YouTube.